My mom said, "You can't cut off your family. Watch me." I used to believe that family was sacred, that no matter how bad things got, blood would somehow keep people loyal. But then I learned that sometimes family can be the first to wound you and the last to ever say sorry. It started small. My mom's sister, Aunt Grace, would make jokes about my weight at family dinner. Everyone laughed, including my mom. I told her it hurt, but she said, "She's just teasing. Don't be sensitive." Then it became comments about my job, my clothes, my friends. Every part of my life was something to criticize. I stayed quiet for years because that's what you do in this family. You swallow it, smile, and pretend it's love. When my dad got sick, I was the only one who stayed with him in the hospital every night. Aunt Grace didn't visit once, but when he passed, she suddenly became the loudest mourner, crying like she'd been there all along. At the funeral, she gave a speech that made me want to scream, talking about our bond as a family, while I knew she'd ignored every call he made. After the burial, she pulled me aside and said, "You should have called me more. You know how much he meant to me." That was the first time I realized I didn't owe anyone a relationship, especially someone who used guilt as a weapon. What finally broke me came a year later. My cousin, Grace's daughter, was getting married, and they invited everyone except me. I found out from a Facebook post. I called my mom, hurt and shaking, and she said, "You should have reached out more. They probably thought you didn't want to come." That sentence burned. I spent years trying to fix things that weren't my fault. Now, I was the villain because I stopped chasing people who never cared to stay. I hung up mid-call. A few weeks later, my mom came over, trying to talk sense into me. She said, "You can't cut off family, sweetheart. They're all you've got." But she didn't understand. I did cut them off, and for the first time in my life, I felt peace. I blocked their numbers, deleted their photos. My mom cried and told me I was being cruel. I told her, "Cruel is pretending someone loves you while they keep breaking you." She didn't reply after that. Months passed. My phone barely rang, but my heart finally stopped hurting. I learned to enjoy the silence. I started cooking dinner for myself without expecting company. I redecorated my apartment, took down every family photo, and replaced them with memories I made on my own. My therapist told me that grief doesn't only come from death. It also comes from accepting that people you love may never love you back the way you deserve. That stuck with me. One night, my mom called and said, "Your aunt's been asking about you." I told her, "Tell her I wish her well, but I'm done." Silence hung between us. Then she whispered, "I never thought you'd really do it." I said, "You raised me to stand up for myself." I just finally did. A few months later, I saw Aunt Grace at the grocery store. She smiled like nothing happened. "You've lost weight," she said. "You look good." I forced a smile. "Thanks." She added, "We should all get together soon. Family's all we've got, right?" I looked at her, the same woman who made me feel worthless, and said, "Family's supposed to feel like home. You never did." Then I walked away, leaving her speechless in the cereal aisle. That night, my mom called again. "Grace said you were rude to her." I sighed and said, "I wasn't rude. I was honest." She went quiet. Then I heard her whisper, "Maybe I should have protected you more." For the first time, she sounded like she understood. Cutting them off didn't make me lonely. It made me free. Sometimes family isn't who you're born with. It's who doesn't make you feel small for existing. So when my mom says again, "You can't cut off family," I'll still say, "Watch me."